Dads, how did you find out your daughter have OnlyFans? Story 1.
Not the parent, but the kid here. I make audio porn. It's roleplay where I talk to the listener as if I'm there, instructing them what to do to themselves or me. I started by sending audios to people I was dating, and they loved it so much I began selling them. Audio is so much fun because the overhead cost is basically zero. You can do any fantasy or scenario paid for by imagination. Anyways, my mom was incredibly persistent with questions about what I do because she knew I had all this money, but from her view, I never did anything. She was very upset that I had all this free time that I wasn't spending with her. I had my own place and she was certain a man was somehow bankrolling me because I couldn't possibly take care of myself. I guess in truth, many clients are bankrolling me. I tried to deflect the questions, but one day she cornered me and would not let it go. I finally told her, I sell audio porn. I spend my days writing and recording and editing scripts. That's where my money comes from and that's where my time goes. Everything about me and my life has been predictably opposite of what she raised me to be. And every time she finds out something new about me that she doesn't like, her response is the same. She pretends we never had the conversation and will frequently bring up the alternative fantasy timeline that she lives in. When she sees my pagan jewelry, she will say, I'm so glad you're a good Christian girl. When she met my girlfriend, she said you're going to find a good Christian man someday. When I told her about my audio porn, she said I'm so glad you don't have to work anymore and you can spend your time relaxing and doing hobbies. My friends all know and it doesn't come up outside of regular work talk/venting. Some of them have guest starred in audios out of curiosity. A few have wanted help getting started doing their own, but changed their mind when they saw how much work goes into it. Very few people have seen my account or stage name. My parents have never heard my audios. I work hard to stay anonymous because early on I wasn't careful and had some dangerous encounters with fans who found.
Story 2.
I know 3 people who do OnlyFans content. One is a very attractive Muslim girl who I used to date. After we weren't a thing, she started off lightly with just scantily clad pictures without her face. But people wanted to see her face and see more of her body. She did a few specials and realized that they made her by far the most money, so slowly the content became straight up porn. She kept all of this private from her family because they were very strict Muslims. Her mom found out one day after walking into her room and seeing her laptop open with the OnlyFans earnings on screen. She didn't look around, but she asked what OnlyFans was, and so she told her mom, who told her dad. The next day she'd been kicked out of her family home. She hasn't spoken to her family in over 3 years, but she's in a happy place and is making bank. Another girl I know does lesbian OnlyFans content. I've seen a fair bit of her content, as she shares bits on Snapchat to ask for some reassurance. She admitted it to her family after buying them a new car as their Ive was having issues. Her dad won't even acknowledge that she does it. Her mom is fairly supportive as long as she stays safe. The last one is my cousin. We were messing around at Christmas in 2019 with talking photos of people in the room and then modifying them with no hair, crazy levels of smoothing, making them look like a baby, making them old. She presses on the back button in the gallery, which takes you back to the tile list. If you press it twice, it takes you back to a tile view with all photos from the phone. She accidentally pressed it twice and there she is, spread legs with a dildo. There she is, topless with her hand down her panties. My reaction was, oh. Her reaction was very quickly closing the app to the home screen. On the bottom right there's an OnlyFans app. She didn't say anything, instead she went quiet, sat there, and then eventually said she was going to get a drink. I followed my cousin out to the kitchen where we were alone and I told her to not worry, it doesn't mean anything to me. Nearly everyone sends or has received them. I couldn't care less and admitted that I've sent and received stuff. I asked her if any of sisters or parents knew, but she doesn't think they do, but had a close call nearly getting walked in by her sister, as she's recording herself on the bed, lol. I was struggling to not laugh because she was so mortified that I had seen. I asked her how much she was making from it, and she had only been doing it for 6 months but was already making £2,000 a month. No one else in the family knows she does it, and I helped her set up her phone so the photos are hidden by default.
Story 3.
My dad's in the industry as an erotic photographer, sometimes stepping close to the line to straight-up porn. I help him out sometimes during shoots. They are a lot of fun most of the time. Everyone is really chill and cool to talk to. He offers courses for other photographers who are trying to start out in the industry. These often take place over the span of a few days in an exotic setting, for example on islands like Mallorca or Ibiza. We often had run-ins with the police from different countries because tourists called them lol. He often gets criticism. People call him out for objectifying women and such. And yeah, the industry is brutal and some photographers are assholes. This is why my dad has a moral codex written down. He did chem modeling in my early 20s 10 years ago. And although I took all the precautions to block people from my area, once people found out what I did, they were able to work around it. One night someone leaked a video from a live on Facebook. I was in lingerie, mostly just talking inappropriately. This before Facebook was as locked down as it is today, and there were several comments made about how wow, her dad must be proud. And eventually someone tagged my dad, and he commented saying she's 23. She's served our country. She has a career outside of this extra work she does online. And she's a good person. My daughter is wholly independent and confident. Just the way I raised her to be. And let's face it, some of you do much worse for free. Daddy-o shut everyone the fuck down. My dad has always been my biggest supporter. Ray interested.
Story 4.
My sister one night after a few too many drinks brought up that she was hustling hard and making money off of during a family get-together. This was after my dad nagging her about still not having a job over a year past completing her business degree at an Ivy League school where he paid her tuition in full. She was bragging about making $1,500 a month for barely lifting a finger, not realizing she is basically making less than minimum wage, and considering her stupid spending habits she has zero saving from it anyway, I am sure. He was just supremely disappointed. He told her he was embarrassed and ashamed not because she was revealing herself to creeps online, but because he felt like a failure that he raised someone so lazy and entitled. She is genuinely an intelligent person and she always thrived in school, so she is certainly capable of doing good work. But the friends she picked up in university have definitely negatively influenced her, as they are some of the most undeservingly entitled people I have ever had the displeasure of meeting in my life. One time I was visiting her at her place and her friend/roommate came back from a date and started bitching about how the guy wouldn't buy a bottle of crystal champagne for her to drink because he was too cheap on the first fucking date.
Story 5.
My sister has had enough for about a year now. She lucked out enormously. She's really successful and brings in more than enough money to make it worth it for her. Our mother knew from day one. Sister in question called her as soon as she set one up, and I believe she downplayed the kind of content she would be posting. I asked my mom to share her thoughts. You know, I'm not allowing myself to really think about it except or feel any way about it. I don't want to know about the content. I'm in denial. Sister has told me that there's really nothing lewd on there, and I choose to believe her rather than investigate. Do I actually believe her? Probably not. It is not, and has not ever been a secret. I think she's posted about it on all her personal social media. Family all knows, family friends know. It's honestly just so bizarre and surreal. Occasionally, our mom will just tell people about it when they ask in conversation what my sister does for a living. I just like to tell people she's a successful influencer, which is also true.
Story 6.
My daughter is way too young for this. I already know what my reaction will be. I would rather my daughter do something else, but if that's her choice, then so be it. I will have those same feelings if my son dates one of those girls. Funny thing is, I am one of those. I mostly hang out with guys, women. That said, some of the best times I have had with other women were with strippers. One time I was on my way to the bathroom and saw a woman crying, and I stopped to ask if she was okay. I ended up sodding with her while she told me her problems. In the meantime, the guy I was on a date with assumed I had left with another guy and just left. The weird thing was he had to walk right by where I was to leave. If he wasn't so mad, he would have noticed me. I got her calmed down and went to look for my date and realized he had left. He ended up with a bunch of angry strippers calling and yelling at him for it. And he did come back and pick me and the one woman up that had stayed behind to make sure I wasn't by myself in the middle of a not so great area of Baltimore. while he came back to pick us up. Watching a bunch of strippers tell off a guy who misread the situation was kind of awesome. I would prefer my daughter not get into the sex industry, but I am not going to get mad if she chooses to as long as it's her choice.
Thank you for watching. Be sure to comment your opinion about these stories, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss new stories.